How many times have you been in a group work meeting or an elevator and everyone's just kind of standing there, just kind of sitting there looking at each other? Someone's waiting to say the first word, and then nobody says anything, and it's just like this big awkward silence because you guys are all strangers. Yeah, that's pretty common. Especially nowadays, we'd much rather just stick to our phones and just keep scrolling rather than actually like socializing with people. But believe it or not, a lot of people actually want to be socialized with. When you think of just day to day life in general, not many people are actually having real conversations aside from maybe like a couple select friends, maybe that one coworker, maybe their spouse or significant other. It's actually pretty common for people to be to themselves and not really interact as much with the world around them, especially nowadays, just because it's way easier to do that. And so I've had a lot of people ask me, especially as a fitness coach, part of my job is being able to help people break out of that shell, not just for the health side of things, but that fitness, that health, that plays over into other aspects of life as well. And so when you do start to break into those other aspects, there's a lot of different factors that go on. Like, hey, are people going to judge me? Am I being weird? How do I just be myself? How do I continue a conversation? All these things that go on that it's honestly, it's a skill. It does take time to learn, but it's super doable. I'm not gonna lie. When I was younger, I used to be very quiet. Like I wouldn't say anything unless really spoken to. Especially like when I played sports, like I was kind of like the quiet kid of the sports teams. Even in my own friend groups, same thing. Like I wouldn't really say much. I was just kind of like there to laugh and hang out and participate whenever we were doing, but I wouldn't say much. And I noticed that I was mostly just scared of being judged, and I didn't want to speak my mind. And that's there's obviously a time and place for all of that. But when it comes to actually socializing with people and you want to socialize with people, here's one of the best ways to go about it. Typically, depending on your situation, like sometimes I've heard some people say that even talking with friends just feels like an exchange of information rather than actually getting to know the person. Even with acquaintances, like, yeah, I don't really talk to acquaintances. It's kind of hard to start that conversation. There's plenty of different ways to start a conversation. What I'll typically do with people, because I'll go to these coffee shops, these bookstores, I'll just go to places because as an online fitness coach, I have that capability of working in different settings. And I'll sometimes just talk to people in between meetings. And I'll typically see what the person is doing. What is the environment looking like? Like if I'm at a cafe and someone next to me is studying something, I might be like, hey, like, what are you studying by chance? Oh, well, I'm trying to be, I'm going into physical therapy and I'm in my third year. I have this huge exam coming up, whatever. Oh, really? That's crazy. Yeah, I actually went to school for kinesiology, so I was just kind of curious. I saw some of the diagrams on there. And so there's little ways that you can start these, but one of the best things to do is be curious. And when you are being curious, you have to ask questions. And you can't just be curious, like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. Because honestly, that's a great entry point. Like, you could just start by, like, hey, what are you doing? Or, hey, where did you get that from? Like, that looks familiar. Or even like there's some people like especially if you're at a certain setting often be like do I know you from somewhere? You look like, in my case I could say you look like one of my clients, or like you're related to one of my clients, or maybe do we go to school together? Something like that. And you don't even have to come off as, it's not really like a weird question to ask. You can pretty much just have that question loaded up and then get it rolling. And as you are curious, when they give you information, you want to keep it mostly open ended, not necessarily just a bunch of yes no questions, but ask who, what, when, why, where, how, all of those. Like, be genuinely curious. Like, oh, why do you, let's say, like, oh, yeah, I'm going on vacation with my family to, Costa Rica. Oh, really? Like, why Costa Rica? Is that like a place you guys normally go? So when you have that foundation of just genuine curiosity, it's a lot more easy to continue the conversation. And by continuing that conversation, you have to actually have an open mind and almost just like you're letting the other person talk. Like no joke, there'll be certain times where I'm out in public and I will ask someone like 20 different questions. They don't know anything about me other than my name, and then they're like, "Wow, that guy was really cool. Like, hey, bro, you got like an Instagram or something? Or do you come here all the time? Like, what, how does that work? Like, what do you do? And it's pretty crazy how when you just let people go and just let them kind of ramble, and if you dig into like, oh yeah, what are you doing with your life? Oh, you just got married? Like, how was that? How long you guys been together? Was that like, you can get into, and even depending on how much the person is giving back, you can get pretty deep with some stuff. Like, oh, was it a rocky relationship ever? But the thing is, you have to be smart about it, and you have to practice it a lot more. Because if you just ask someone right off the rip, "Oh, you just got married? Did you guys struggle at all?" It's like, what? Like, okay, I didn't even like. Why are you asking that right now? Um, so when you delve into these people's lives and you just start to ask more questions, you can start to go down rabbit holes with them and just be a good listener. Actively listen. Like, don't stress so much about what's going to be my next question, because they'll give that to you. They will actively say like, "Oh yeah, I worked at this place and it was kind of cool, but I'm probably gonna leave." It's like, "Oh, you're how like well, how long were you there for?" Like, 6 years, but I think it's time. Oh yeah, so it's time. Like, are you going somewhere else? Or like, there's all these different ways that you can go, because they're going to give you the answer, and you just need to capitalize on that. So that way you can actively listen and you don't have to stress so much about what you're going to say next, because chances are most people aren't going to ask you as many questions in return. We like to hear ourselves talk. Like, literally, I freaking have a mic recording this right now. Like, we like to hear our own thoughts. We like to hear ourselves talk. And a lot of people, I know people are going to say, well, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be talked to. Well, that's typically a lie for most people. Like, how often it is almost a compliment when someone starts asking you questions, because you show curiosity in them. And that is something that most people do not have on a day to day basis. It's actually a great thing for those of you that go to the gym. It's kind of like when someone says, hey, bro, like, you come over and spot me. I need help on this one. It's almost a compliment to you, because in your head you're thinking, oh wow, you think I'm fit enough, you think I'm strong enough, you think I have the capability of spotting you, helping you out. Yeah, sure, I got you, man. Like, you're almost put in an authority figure, or you're almost viewed as an authority figure in that sense. And people like to be in those positions. People like to actually, help each other out and be seen as a help, or even just be heard, because a lot of people don't have a way of an outlet, so to speak. Like, some people journal, some people talk, whatever, have their friends, have their family, their parents, their kids, whatever. And not everybody has that outlet, especially just in your day to day life. Like, maybe on the weekends, yeah, maybe like in a Bible study, yeah, but not necessarily every single day. And so when you do talk to people, they do tend to open up a little bit more, especially if it's someone you see frequently, like a coworker. It becomes a lot easier over time. Like, you can start having these conversations to where it's like, hey, like, how long have you been here for? Or like, hey, isn't this thing kind of stupid right here? Like, isn't it kind of crazy we have to do this? Whatever, just something light. And you have to kind of read the room a bit. Like, if they're not really giving you a whole lot, remember, like, time and place, dude. Like, if they're not giving you energy, they seem like something's down, or they're just not having it that day, then realize, yeah, that's not going to be a conversation you pursue much further. But some people, you'd be shocked. You just talk to them, ask them a simple question like, "Oh, hey, where'd you get that jacket from? Like, that looks like something that my girlfriend got at Macy's or whatever." "Oh, yeah, that's cool. My grandmother handed this down to me at blah blah blah." Whatever. And those sort of conversations are a lot, they're hard to get going at first, because you're uncomfortable with it, you're not very confident with it. Especially, like, a lot of my clients will come to me very overweight, and like, even their body, like, hey, I don't have this confidence yet, like, I need to work on this, like a skill almost. And other than the fact that you getting in shape, you getting your body healthy, develops a lot of that confidence, it's also a skill at the same time. How many jacked dudes do you know, for those of you in the gym, how many jacked dudes do you know, like, that you talk to at the gym, that just like, like, protein, like, they don't know how to say anything other than what they're working out with, and they don't know how to communicate with people either. Like, actually communicate with people. I think that, the term meathead is there for a reason, right? So you'd be shocked how much of a skill this is, how much practice it takes. And I think for my job, since I have to talk to people for a living, prospects, new people, I start conversations on social media saying, like, oh, yeah, hey, I saw you had this comment, this question, like, what's going on? You almost just have to come at stuff as a way of you're just kind of throwing it out there. And if it doesn't pick up, it doesn't pick up. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you start to get better at asking questions. But as long as you're genuinely curious and you're actually thinking and actually listening to what the person is saying, you'll have a much better chance of one, them actually liking you, two, you possibly becoming friends from them liking you, and then three, now you have a genuine connection, a network, whatever it might be. Uh, and that is something that is we crave as humans. We're now, for how social we are nowadays online, we're not very social in the real world. And that's kind of just the unfortunate part about it. But a lot of people crave that social setting. We're not there yet to where everybody's just going to be, if you ever seen the movie Wall-E, where everybody's just in those chairs and it's just the screen in front of their face and just floating around, not interacting with each other person to person. We're not there yet. In time, maybe, but I think we have quite a bit of time before that actually comes, possibly a few decades at least before that comes. So when it comes to socializing, when it comes to not feeling like it's just an exchange of information, you basically just got to get that other person to open up. And then you can throw a little bit of a tidbit there in there, like, oh yeah, I actually went to university there. Or yeah, I used to play that when I was younger, that sports or that board game, or I've read that before, or my mother told me about this. Just something very light to where now you're starting to create that connection and you're starting to relate to them. But as long as they are the ones that are talking the most, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people a lot of people don't really believe what you say, they believe what they say. And so the more that you can ask those questions, the more likely they are to honestly, like, kind of like journaling back to you. And through that, you understand them as a person. And then you could usually tell sooner rather than later after a while of doing this, of like, oh, this is going to be a cool person. Or like, oh, shoot, I'm probably should cut this conversation short. Like, this person's on drugs or something, And over time, you'll start to develop that skill. But it is a skill and it does take practice. And I'm not saying that you need to, go message 300 people a day and say, hey, bro, do you want to hang out? Nothing like that. But it is a good practice. Like one of my mentors, he actually has his students practice approaching one person every single day, a random person, grocery store, at the gym, in the workplace, someone that you don't know, you haven't talked to, and then start that conversation. That is phenomenal practice. If you do that on a daily basis, you have literally 30 days. Within 30 days time, you will be shocked at how much skill you've developed just from that alone, just from getting out of your comfort zone. Is it weird? Is it awkward? Is it uncomfortable? Yeah, you're going to feel all those emotions. You're going to overthink it. I know everybody nowadays, like, we're all overthinkers, right? Like, is this perfect? Like, am I doing this right? Everyone's a perfectionist. There's nothing perfect about conversation. Keep your ears open. Find a relatable situational thing going on. That is usually the easiest way to go about it. Now, if you're just like cold approaching somebody, now that's a little bit tougher. I same thing. If you're in a public setting, there's usually something happening, or they have some sort of clothing on, or driving a certain car, or if they work out. Hey, bro, you lift? Like, how long you been lifting for? Throw them a little compliment. You don't necessarily need to put them on a pedestal. You don't need to shower them in compliments, but it is a much easier way. It's a much lower barrier of entry to actually start that conversation. And you'll notice that you can just start to do this any place, like literally anywhere you go. Literally your neighbors who you've never met before, but you've seen a million times. Any place, at the gym, the grocery store, at the car wash, wherever you're going shopping, even at a movie theater, standing in line, or an amusement park, to the person running the ride, whatever, just some sort of small talk makes it easier over time. And that I kind of be that person way back when, where I was always like afraid to, like, even just make jokes or just something light, because it's not like, guys, I'm not a funny person. I know some people are just very funny, they can do that, it's very easy for them. That's not really my style. Like, I'm probably aligned more like the, oh yeah, that's a bit goofy, like, it's not really funny, but it's a little more goofy. But in the situation we are in, it comes off as funnier just because I'm just saying it with more confidence and it's like, oh yeah, LOL, whatever. Like no one actually cares and no one's actually going to remember. But if you can come off as confident with it, it'll become so much easier over time. And like I said, one of the best ways to actually start this is by honing in your body. The more that the more fat you lose and the more muscle that you have on you, the more sculpted your physique is, the better people are going to treat you anyway. Not to mention it makes you look more attractive when you are more fit as well. Especially when you don't have like all the face fat or like the double chins or whatever. Like you can actually see the prominent features in your face. And even if you are quote unquote not a very attractive person right off the bat, the leanness with it, losing fat will just help with that automatically. Dialing in your nutrition, eating healthier foods, the right foods, clears up your skin a lot more. It's just all these little things that go a long way. Keep your hygiene in check, keep your grooming in check, make sure you're trimming your nails, getting a haircut every once in a while, brushing your teeth, like little things like that. It kind of sucks I actually have to say that at all, but it's one of those things where it kind of needs to be said. All those things start to add up, and the more that you can hone your body and really dial in, it shows that you are a disciplined person, and that demands respect. Not that you are going around saying, hey, everybody respect me, but it's more so that you're going around with a sort of confidence, a sort of gravitas that people surround to, like people are like a magnet to almost. And the more that you're in shape, the higher that confidence goes. The higher that confidence goes, the easier it is to start approaching people. The more you approach people, the more you're developing that skill of talking to people, like starting that conversation and then continuing that conversation. And then you'll start to notice over time this becomes a lot easier because now you're making genuine connections. And now the more conversations you have, the more genuine connections you start to create and the more ideas you start to flow too. The more ideas that start to flow, you just become more of a social person, even as an introvert, as an overweight guy, whatever it might be. But like I said, if you can first start off with your body, that's going to be the number one thing. That said, same thing on this. If any of this resonated with you, I'm a fitness coach, so there'll be a type form in the description down below. If this resonated with you, if you feel like this is something that you need in addition to your health, building muscle, losing fat, whatever it might be, go ahead and fill out the application down below. It's a one-on-one coaching application. I'll reach out to you. I'll see what I can do for you, and then we'll just go from there. So guys, if you can keep your ears open and keep your mouths to a minimal, like mostly closed, you're going to be in a much better position than the person that's just giving their whole entire life story out. Literally yesterday, I was at this cafe and there's a guy and a girl clearly on a first date, the awkward, like how they're kind of sitting, kind of facing each other, kind of not. And the guy is giving his whole freaking life story. He's given his whole entire life story. Like I've learned like 10 things about that dude before the woman said a word other than or yeah in between while he was talking. And it's like, really? Do you think she's going to call you back for a second date because she didn't get a word in there? And it's almost a superpower, not just men and women, but it's almost just a superpower to let the other person talk. And when I kind of witnessed that, I was like, oh shoot, I do not know how that's going to go. Obviously, that's not my place to intrude, and that's their business. But just seeing that situation play out and then seeing other people ask like, hey, how is it so easy? Like, how are you so easily an extrovert? Guys, I was not an extrovert like my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I had the ability to get along with people and just be quiet and not say anything. But now I am able to start conversations, have these genuine connections. Literally, you can put me in any setting and I will talk. I can talk to people. It does not matter. I remember being in university once. I think when I was like 20 years old, I went to this clinic, a bunch of health professionals, a whole bunch of health professionals there. Everybody on just a much higher level than I was, and I was a student at the university at a time. So I'm like the bottom of the chain there, so to speak. And I remember just not knowing what to say, how to talk to people, whatever. And all these guys are freaking rich dudes and very successful, and some of them are doctors. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, I asked dumb questions. I was repeating my questions. I didn't know what to say. I was barely making eye contact with them. It wasn't pretty, and it was honestly pretty embarrassing. But I think back to that and how much of a difference it's made over all these years, since I was 20 years old. And it's like, wow, It's a day and night difference. And I started to realize that I was starting to develop some of those skills back then, and now they're just so fine tuned to where it's just literally second nature now. I'm not saying any of this to brag or anything. It is quite literally because like I've had clients ask me about this. I've had other people approach me about this. Even people at like, cafes and whatnot. I'll be like, dude, like, how are you just like talk to that person? Like, do you know that person? I'm like, oh no, I have no idea who that person is. I just started a conversation with them. So it's like I said, it's just over time it becomes easier, and you won't have to think about it as much. But I think being genuinely curious, getting yourself in shape, like actually start to hone in on your nutrition and your health and fat loss, that will go a super long way, and it makes the rest of it so much easier. That said, if you found this video useful, please be sure to drop a like down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.